All right, so I'm going to share with you some of the most narcissistic New Age spirituality memes and videos that I've come across on Instagram. And I'm going to react to these videos to illustrate for you how narcissistic the New Age movement is. Now, I can say this having come out of the New Age movement myself. I was a practicing astrologer, tarot reader, Reiki practitioner. I was deep into it, and at some point, I began to question some things. So I went back, looked at the origins of these practices, and wound up leaving the New Age movement and reconverting to my Christian faith. Now, I did this not based on some sort of inner feeling that God is true for me, or based on some sort of sense or experience of the presence of God or something like that, but rather I researched, I looked into apologetics, I looked at the historical proof for Christianity, and I was ultimately convinced that Christianity is true, not based on my feelings, but based on facts. So I've shared some of this in previous videos. You're welcome to look at those. For today, I want to share something that I wrote on this topic of narcissism and New Age spirituality. I'm going to share that with you first. I'm just going to read that really quickly, and then I'll get into the memes. So, this is the purpose of New Age spirituality. It, and by extension, secular mental health, offers a way around sin as something that is morally wrong and condemnable. They have come up with a substitution for our need for the grace of Jesus Christ. They have figured it out. Rather than confronting sin as sin, it is now called the shadow, or parts of ourselves that have been repressed, oppressed by patriarchal, puritanical society. And rather than being rejected, should be accepted, embraced, integrated, and glorified as part of our true self, capital T, capital S, true self, to be worshipped above all. And if there is still any remaining guilt or insecurity, a natural result of sin and selfishness that we all have, rather than go to God, the one true God, that is Christ, we can superficially empower ourselves through contrived positive affirmations in front of a mirror, or we can coddle ourselves through self-soothing, literally hugging ourselves, stroking ourselves, publicly masturbating. I'll get to that in a moment. The other clever thing the New Age spiritual movement has done is to take virtue, which comes out of our natural sense of morality, given by the fact that we're made in the image of God. They have taken virtue and pathologized it, so that things like empathy and people-pleasing and humility, now sometimes called imposter syndrome, are now bad, and we should be prioritizing ourselves, not others. To prioritize others means that we are doormats, weak, insecure. This is what we are telling people who do good. To be good is bad, and to be bad is good. With the devil, it is always a turning upside down. If you are a virtuous person who thinks of others' needs before your own, you're just too sensitive, too giving, and too unselfish. And this is where the overcompensation with superficial self-empowerment, female empowerment, sexual empowerment, boosted self-worth, divine feminine, divine masculine, elevating oneself to divine status comes in. It's an overcompensation for sin, a rejection of our natural sense of right and wrong. The New Age movement takes it further. It tells us that our contrived sense of divinity is justified because we are one, united with some abstract idea of God of our own making, our own custom religion. Not based in any historical context or historical proof, but whatever idea of God that we like. We are united with this divinity, and therefore we are divine too. It's just another clever trick. In the end, when it turns out that the abstract idea of God that we've made up, or the inner feeling that we've been worshiping, turns out not to be God, but something else, then we were worshiping ourselves alone. And that's the ultimate trick of all. The devil tempting us to be our own gods, as it was in the Garden of Eden, the original sin of pride. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to switch over to some of these memes that I have found to react to, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on them as well. Now I'm going to start with some of the more tame of these memes, and then I'll work up to the crazier ones. This one just says, working on myself for myself. So again, it's this idea that in improving myself, I'm doing that first and foremost for myself, not for others. This one says, total compassion means you are the universe. You are all form. You are the breath. You are the river. You are the void. You are the desire to be enlightened. You are enlightened. And so you are everything. And what's interesting here is it says that this is what total compassion means. But I don't see anything in that about having compassion at all. Having compassion on others, having compassion on those in need. Rather, this sounds like the ultimate definition of narcissism or delusions of grandeur, that you are everything. This one is one of the most narcissistic of the bunch. This is a nude woman kissing herself in front of the mirror and saying that, you are the love of my life, or I am the love of my life. So this is taking self-love to the next level. This is like, not only do I take care of myself, but I'm in love with myself, that I am the love of my life. And it's almost like I only need myself. But just looking at this image, it just feels weird looking at it. I mean, don't you look at it and kind of feel, well, I guess I should ask you, like, what do you feel when you look at this? Because to me, there's just something off about thinking about kissing yourself. And obviously, this is kind of like public masturbation. When I said that and what I wrote, this was one of those illustrations of that. And I've seen actual videos of people doing similar things like this, by the way. And I didn't share that in this collection, but I have seen things like that. All right. What if you just turned your magic all the way the F on? Again, this is speaking to some sort of divinity within that, we are the divine, we are the creator, we have the power to literally manipulate reality, which is what magic is. It's this idea of being able to manipulate reality. Okay. This one says the opportunity to go within is the opportunity to expand. That's the paradox of growth. The paradox of the expansion of consciousness is that the more you go within, the more you expand. So again, this is pointing back to the self, what's within, rather than sort of connecting with some idea of God, or some God, a personal God, which is what I believe in, and Christianity is saying that God is personal, but rather than sort of believing in a personal God that is in some ways distinct from us, this is about worshiping a God within, this idea of a God within. Now, I would say that, from the Christian point of view, if you are a believer, if you have repented of your sin in the sense that you have acknowledged your sin, you have confessed that to Christ and acknowledged your need for Christ, and then you have become a believer, then Christ, God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit does dwell within you. So there is that sense that God is always with us. He dwells within us if we have turned to Him and admitted that we need Him. Obviously, this is not a Christian meme. This is talking about something else. And it's unfortunately a deception of, I believe, Satan, that, he convinces people that they're worshiping God when they're not, because we know that we can't just, at least from the Christian point of view, we can't just simply go within. We have to actually reach for Christ. So, okay, next. This one says what you think you deserve and what you actually deserve. So this is from a Instagram account that has some kind of charming artwork. It's kind of Art Deco or something like that, if I'm accurate in that assessment. And I actually like some of them. They're not all new agey, but this one to me really speaks to that sort of self-focused, I'm entitled to everything, which is completely, opposing the Christian point of view, where we acknowledge that we all fall short of the glory of God. We humble ourselves and we acknowledge that whatever we have is by the grace of God, and that none of us is deserving of that because we are all sinful. And so, yeah, this is very entitled, and so I wanted to include this one. The next one says, you can have anything you want, you are limitless. So it's saying the same thing. And I find it interesting, right? Because we don't even tell little children this, right? We tell little children, nope, I'm sorry, sometimes you can't always have what you want. We don't tell them this just because they're too young, right? We tell them this because that's life, that in life we don't always get what we want. And so not only is this incredibly entitled, but it's also just a denial of reality. Okay, so this one says, healing makes you become uninterested in everyone and everything. And I thought this one was really interesting and concerning. Okay, so for some reason, healing makes you become uninterested in everyone and everything. And I think what this is talking about is this idea that, once you've healed and you've sort of elevated your sense of self-worth, you then start to you can then start to recognize when people are crossing your boundaries or abusing you, and so you then cut them all out, right? I think it's hitting on that. And of course, I would say that we should protect ourselves from abuse, and I don't think that Christianity speaks contrary to that either. But there's just something a little bit concerning about this, because it's very self-isolating. It's this idea that, if you are not serving me, then I should just cut you out of my life. If you're not perfect, I should just cut you out of my life. That somehow my healing has elevated me to some sort of superior status. And if you haven't done the work on yourself, then you are beneath me. This almost not only seems like self-worship, but almost worshiping this idea of some sort of perfect state of healing in a way. Okay. Which that can become an idol as well. Okay, so this one says, I am God in action here. Now this guy's Instagram has got to be one of the most blasphemous Instagram accounts that I've seen. So he is basically promoting the belief that we are all God, that we are on the same level as God. And so he's actually taking the words of God and he's saying that we should speak these as affirmations of who we are. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first, the last, the one eternal presence of all that is. I am the light of the world. I mean, these are the words of Christ. And he's saying that we should just speak these things in front of the mirror in reference to ourselves. Okay, well, were you crucified on the cross for all of our sins? Because I don't think so, and I know that I wasn't. I know that there was only one person who did that. This one says, your timing is your timing, trust that. Now, this one, it's not the most narcissistic because, I mean, we want to, go at our own pace with certain things in life, right? But what this is saying is it's your timing. Your timing is your timing. So there's no surrender here to say God's will, God's timing, that God being the creator of the universe and being all-knowing, that maybe that is the being, the person who really knows the best timing. And so this one again is completely, devoid of any humility or surrender to God's will and timing. But it's all about your own timing because you are all-knowing. All right, and so this next one is a video, and she's saying, does the thought of saying, okay, have you done affirmations? That's because in order for an affirmation to work, they have to be specifically tailored to you. Let me teach you how. Watch my free master class. Okay, so the reason why I included this was just this idea of speaking affirmations in front of a mirror. And as you can see, the way she's dancing, she's kind of pepping herself up. And she's selling a master class on basically how to tell yourself, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm confident, I can have everything, I can do everything. And, it's sad to me, right? It's sad to me because it's so contrived, it's so forced, and it's really not necessary. We don't have to be all of these things, first of all. It's okay to be human and to not feel 100% all the time, right? Other mental health memes say it's okay to not be okay, right? Which is kind of a conflicting idea. Because it's on one hand, it's okay to be okay, but then we need to be saying in front of the mirror all of these things to make us feel on top of the world. Okay, so just a interesting contradiction there. And this one says, say it with me, I am strong beyond belief, I am powerful beyond measure. I think it's these words, beyond belief, beyond measure, that again really illustrate this idea of the divinity of the self. All right, and then I wanted to share with you, okay, here we go. This one says, healers are spiritual warriors committed to shine their light onto their own darkness, unleashing their sacred potential. All right. So this is about, okay, well, I was just struck by the fact that it starts with healers. Healers are spiritual warriors, so it's about healing, spirituality, the light within, shining a light on your own darkness, channeling your darkness because it's somehow sacred. So what this is doing then is exactly what I was sharing in what I wrote. The idea is that your darkness, which is sin, is somehow glorified as something sacred. They're literally saying that sin is sacred. It's a complete turning upside down of reality. And honestly, I don't think healing or spiritual, there's nothing about this video that points me to God in any way. When I see this video, honestly, it just looks like stripper to me, okay? So next. Here's another one. This one says, I am unleashed, I am pure and raw, sacred feminine energy, my heart, mind, body, and soul, opens gateways of opportunities for higher love to be manifested. So it's all of these really spiritual terms: mind, body, soul, higher love, opening gateways. I'm curious about the gateways that are being opened here, quite honestly, because when I look at this, I don't see anything pure. I don't see anything good. I don't see anything holy. I don't see anything about true light. Rather, I look at this and I see sex. And, you know, again, what they're doing is they're not only are they sexualizing spirituality, but they're saying that sexual immorality, sex outside of the context that God made it for, which is a one-on-one committed marriage under God, that this kind of sexual immorality is somehow to be worshipped, and that's exactly, you know, it's a corruption of sex is what it is, and of course, that's exactly what the devil wants, and it's almost to the point of worshiping sexual immorality, because obviously there's nothing sacred about putting your sex on display for the whole world to see. What is sacred about that? Again, it's public masturbation. And when I look at this, I don't see love, light, truth, beauty, holiness, goodness. I see sex. That is what I see. And I think this is the last one. It's talking again about your soul was made for spiritual alchemy. Love is what we're born with. Fear is a lesson that we learn. So maybe it's, I don't know, a metaphor for some sort of dance between love and fear, but it's someone in lingerie or fetish clothing. And I have to say, when I look at this, the first thing I think is it looks like a satanic ritual. I mean, she's got these long claws, horn, something that looks like devilish horns, fire coming out of every sort of point. And again, it's a corruption of sex. It's putting sex on display, and there's really no sort of love that I'm picking up on in this video whatsoever. So somehow this is some sort of spiritual practice. Certainly isn't connected with any type of worship of God, but more so it looks like it's the worship of something else. All right, so now that we have seen all of these, I wanted to go in the other direction and share some words of God from the Bible to illustrate just how completely upside down what we've just seen is. And also just to leave you with something that is good, something that is pure, something that is holy, something that is right. So this says, if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and righteous to forgive us the sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So this is the true and right way to deal with our so-called shadow. We don't have to put on all of these costumes and have flames coming out of our fingers. All we have to do is turn to Jesus. That's pretty much it. That's all we have to do. I mean, we have to strive after that to be Christ-like. Yes, it takes living our lives from that belief. But yeah. Okay, so this one says, no one should seek their own good, but the good of others. So this is completely the opposite of the New Age movement, which says the opposite. It says we should prioritize ourselves. This one says, he has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather glory in my weaknesses, that the power of Christ may rest in me. So this completely debunks self-empowerment, because this is saying that Christ's power is made perfect in our weakness, and that any strength that we have comes from Christ. And this is the last one. It says, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the good, well-pleasing, and perfect will of God. So don't be conformed to the world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So don't think that you have to be like those people in those videos that I just showed you, or that you listen to the advice in those memes. Do not be conformed to those things. We are called to be counter-culture. And right now the culture is telling us that we should prioritize ourselves, that we should look within, not to God, and that we should glorify our sin, that we should put it on display, that we should worship it, that we should embrace it. So I myself am glad that I was able to learn what I learned about the New Age movement in time to get out of there, and that I have now returned to a relationship with Christ, that I don't have to look in front of a mirror and tell myself or convince myself that I'm a God or that I'm capable of everything, because I'm not. God is, and I can trust in Him. So with that, if you appreciated this message, please like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and otherwise, God bless, and I'll see you next time. Take care.